fight. We don't have to kill. Everybody in the whole wide world really just needs to chill. No, we don't have to fuss, no.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Just Chill with Oliver George. This is episode 102, and it's also the season 4 finale episode, and I couldn't be happier about the guest I have in studio. He's a very, very funny human being who I would argue is one of the most treasured acts working here in Ottawa. But before we get into it, comedian, I should say. Before we get into it, I want to remind you, if you are watching right now, but you would prefer an audio-only version, you can get that on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and other places like that. If you are listening to me on one of those, though, come over here to YouTube and help me out. Hit that subscribe button. It's really appreciated on my end. So if you could do that, I would thank you so much. And finally, if you want to reach out to me, maybe with a cool guest idea or some general feedback about the program, you can send me an email at justchillpodcasting@gmail.com or hit me up on social media. And finally, whatever merch we have left, I have 5 of these stickers left. So if you want one, now's the time to send me an email and I'll send you one to your address free of charge. Back to the guest, the man of the hour, as I often say, a very, very funny person who has opened for the likes of Tom Green and John Doerr, amongst others.
Well, the John Doerr one got canceled.
He was set to open for legends like John Doerr.
I have the potential to open for John Doerr. That's a
yeah. Well, that's still impressive, though. That's worth mentioning. And he is also one half of the comedic duo Lebanese Weight Watchers, alongside George Assily. I'm talking about Cesar Makhoul. Thank you so much for coming, dude.
How you doing? Did you have George on already?
No, I haven't. I've talked to him a few times. I remember talking to him when I think we were both starting out years and years ago. Yeah. I did a show with him. I can't even remember if it was Montreal or somewhere like that, but
when he was first starting out,
and he was super intense. I would try to talk to him and shoot the shit before, because that's kind of how I do to lessen my anxiety and just sort of distract myself or whatever. And he was just standing there like going over his shit, and he would be polite, but you could tell he didn't really want to engage.
Yeah, he's less intense and more like awkward mess. You know what I mean? He just doesn't like looking at people, and
he's intense on stage.
Yeah. I mean, look, his stage presence is a whole other thing. That thing is within him. You know, he is that guy to a certain extent. But
to anyone who hasn't seen George perform, they're probably wondering what we're talking about. But he has a very commanding presence on stage where he'll tell people, "I'm your father" and stuff. You know, he's very direct with people and has no qualms about talking shit right to their face.
Yeah, if you want to see George, I don't know, come out to, we don't have any, I'm not plugging anything, but
come to Ottawa.
Come to Ottawa and
come to Yucks,
or Montreal and go to an open mic, and you might see him there.
Oh, that's right. He's in Montreal now.
Yeah.
Well, you also are kind of like that on stage as well. Like, you have no problems with sticking it to the audience.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of just the basis of it is probably insecurity at some point. Like, always, if somebody walks into a room, I have to be ready to make fun of them in case they make fun of me, you know?
Yeah.
But nowadays, I don't think like that anymore, but I still, I guess, have that weapon to my...
I was going to ask you that, actually, because I remember seeing you. I've seen you many times over the years performing, and I feel like you are way more doing the crowd work stuff these days. Like, it's almost your whole stage time sometimes.
Well, it's 50-50, and then a lot of it is stuff that I've written, but I always try to just work on jokes, because like, that's still important, you know. I don't want to deviate from that, but you know, sometimes you get caught up and you just...
Well, that's what I mean. I've never felt when you go to stage that you don't have stuff prepared, but it's just like you just seem to always get comments from the audience, and you always just walk all over them.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like some samurai shit. Like, you want to be you want to be one with like, you want to be the same as you are off stage, on stage type thing. So if I'm going up there and I'm like citing a joke, even though obviously there's merit to rhythm within a joke, you know, and timing and all that, but I feel like that's not my style, you know. I just go up there and talk like I'm talking to you or whatever.
Yeah, you have a very casual, you don't seem like stressed out at all.
I am very stressed out,
but not like, you don't seem internally like anxious or anything.
I sort of am, you know, before, maybe during if I'm bombing, you know, you start to get the nerves, but...
No, yeah, I've seen you just killing it lately. And you also, another thing I've noticed is that you have like the towel always over your shoulder now. And I really like that. It's kind of like a persona, you know.
It wasn't meant for that, but I just, in the summer, even in the, like, I sweat a lot, even if I'm even if I'm in shape, I sweat. I think it just my dad sweats a lot. It's in the family.
Yeah, you got those genes.
So and then it ends up going in my eye, and then I start to get self-conscious that people could see me sweating.
Yeah, I get
and I'm
that.
like, I'm not sweating because I'm nervous. I'm sweating because I'm fat, whatever.
And sweat burns in the eyes, man.
It does.
It's all
yeah.
salty and shit.
And then I have to wipe it with my hand, and I'm just like, let me bring a towel on, and it's sort of.
It complements the whole thing, though, for some reason. It really works, you know?
We made our own signature towels.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
That we, sold at show. Not for money, but they were just cool to like advertise,
You're talking about Lebanese Weight Watchers?
Lebanese Weight Watchers. Yeah.
So how'd you come up with that name?
I don't know. It was like 3 a.m. During COVID, and I think George said it. I don't know we just came up with it. There's nothing to it. It just is what it is, I don't know. It sounded funny.
Yeah, sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah.
I mean, it's memorable for sure.
Yeah.
And George is Lebanese, I would imagine, then as well.
Yeah. He's the whitest version of a Lebanese person you can get, possibly. Yeah.
He's still got immaculate hair, though.
Great hair, great facial hair too. He's an Adonis with it.
And you guys had a podcast under the same name, right?
Yeah, it's on Spotify. It's extremely inconsistent. I think we didn't release one for like 3 months, and then we released one like last week.
How many episodes are there now, you think?
I think the recent one was 37.
Oh, there you go.
Those are the ones we released. Like we used to do some during COVID. I think that we released on a different platform or something.
Okay. Well, if people want to find it, at least there's a lot of stuff they can go through.
Yeah. Those were not the best. I don't think it was like.
He's like telling you not to go check it out.
Yeah. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, it's hit or miss. Like you might click on one and be like, this is great. And then you click on the next one and it's the worst thing you've ever heard.
Did you guys have guests or no?
We've had a few with guests, but they're mostly just our friends.
Yeah.
One of them we did with Dan Shields, who you know, and it was more of a gag more than anything. It wasn't like we were interviewing him. It was just like, oh, let's get Dan Shields on
To talk some shit.
It would just be funny to get him on the podcast, And yeah, we have a lot of friends. He
was like the co-owner of Yuck Yucks for a while, right?
Yeah, I mean, every
like
time
Ottawa Yuck Yucks, I should say.
It's just like, how much did he own? Like 5%?
I know. He was always like really nice to me, but he always had kind of some shady vibes too. And I'm not trying to start beef with Dan Shields, but
yeah. I mean, listen, I'm just gonna say no snitching, but I'm gonna agree with what you said. That's all.
Okay. Well, let's move on from trashing him. I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah, I don't. I say a lot of this stuff to him, but
he seems like the kind of guy that wouldn't even be pissed. He did have a good sense of humor always.
Yeah, he makes fun of people too. He makes fun of me. He's just he's a free spirit. Let's say. Let's put it like that.
Well, you're talking about sweating. I also wanted to mention that you're one of the few people that I've seen who can wear shorts on stage, because that used to be a big like faux pas. I did it once, and I remember people gave me crap about it afterwards.
People gave me crap in the beginning too. They still do sometimes, but it's like, I don't know. It's like, who cares if they're laughing?
That's what I always said as well, or thought.
Yeah, it's like if I'm making them laugh with shorts, then like, I don't know, I'm doing something where
it was supposed to be like a professionalism thing, like, oh, you're never going to get Saturdays if you're wearing shorts.
I wore, listen, if you come to Yuck Yucks tonight, you can't, because this is in the past now and you've missed your opportunity. But I will be wearing shorts tonight on stage just because of this.
Speaking of, you just reminded me of something, how this is going to be in the past, but I think this will be up before October 30th. I will be returning to, so I do have something to plug. I will be returning to Codenames Live, which is run by Tim Riel. It's like an online, I don't know, like a game show, basically, I guess I would call it. And I'm going back on with Glenn Humplick. I don't know why I said his name so weird. Glenn Humplick. And I think it's my 4th time on there. It's always so much fun. You can go to Nerd Incorrect, I believe is his handle on Instagram, to find out where to watch it on Twitch and all that. But check it out if you get a chance. October 30th. It's a Monday. I think it starts around 7:30, something like that. So,
okay.
Yeah. I knew I was going to forget that. I had to get it in.
No, go ahead. Do your thing. It's your show. You can
Have you ever done Codenames or no?
No. I guess, I don't know if people ask to be on those things or have been asked. Like, I don't really.
I think it's a mix, maybe.
Yeah, it's kind of a mix, right?
If you asked him, I don't think he would be offended at all, and he'd probably find a spot for you.
No, I'm sure he would, but I don't know. I just don't like. I don't like ask. I only ask when necessary. You know, if I'm asking for a weekend or something, I'll do that. But
The reason I would implore you to ask is because I think that doing Codenames live is like good for the soul. No joke.
yeah.
I have such a good time.
What kind of game? Like, what is it?
In a nutshell, it's a game. It was based on a board game originally, and this is like the online version. But there's like 25 cards on the board that all have a word on them, and you have a partner, your Codenames teammate or whatever, and one of you is like playing the leader, and you get to see all the words. You know what they are, but some of them are blue. Let's say you're the blue team, and you want to get your partner to guess those.
Yeah.
And you don't want them to guess the red ones that are for the other team's words, right?
Okay.
So you're trying to find a new word that links the words that are already there. So like, it's kind of hard to explain, but
fair enough.
You pick like, oh, okay, I want them to guess these 3 words, and this word I just came up with kind of connects those.
Yeah.
So you would say like trumpet 3 or whatever the word was that you came up with, and then you hope your partner, based on that
I
word,
see.
can figure out which words on the board you were trying to get them to pick.
Yeah.
But if they end up picking the other teams, then, you know, it gives them a point or something.
Yeah, okay.
It's fun because it's so hard to be good at. And then Tim's kind of like chirping you a little bit, like, you know, it's
Well, you gotta have
roasting you.
chemistry too, I guess, with whoever you're doing it with. Like, you got to be on the same page.
Well, the best thing to do is just not really, I don't want to say not care, but go into it just like going to have a good time.
Yeah.
Because there's people in the live chat that cut you up if you make a terrible guess or you make a terrible suggestion. It's fun.
How many people in the?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you what their live numbers are. It always felt like it was like,
It was flowing.
30 or 40 people,
Yeah,
maybe.
that's-
Enough people were engaging.
That's more than enough in the stream. Yeah.
And if
It's
you're
like a
really
comedy
struggling,
show.
they'll give you hints sometimes to help you out.
Okay.
It's a lot to manage. That's one thing I find is like, you're already trying to come up with your clues or whatever, and then you're trying to also watch the chat. That can be a little bit much. But
Yeah.
once they get to the speed round in the end too, it's insane. They give you like 5 seconds or something to come up with your word. It's so stressful, but in the kind of like the best way.
Yeah. I guess the main purpose is entertainment rather than outcome of victory or whatever
No, yeah. I mean, even after the show, I think the show takes like an hour or something, but then there's usually like 2 hours of just hanging out, talking about the game after and like where you fucked up and somebody's great moments. And, it's just a fun hangout.
That does sound like fun. I don't know if I still probably won't ask, but
Well, you know what, man? Next time he asks me or if I'm invited to come on or whatever, I'll bring you as my partner.
okay, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Because I've done it with 2 different people twice each, or this will be the second time with Glenn. But
Okay, yeah, I'll do it. Fuck it.
and hopefully this.
Look how easy that was.
Yeah, there you go.
That's called ego, ladies and gentlemen. No, I don't know. Anyway.
Hopefully people go check it out though. Even if you don't check out the episode I'm going to be on, because it's really cool. I think it's a cool interactive thing to be a part of.
Yeah.
So shout out to Tim and Codenames. Well, let's talk about comedy and you getting into comedy, because I always think that's an interesting question to ask people. Everybody gets in at different ages. And I wanted to specifically know as well, like, was your family supportive of all that?
Yeah. I didn't really tell them, like, it's not that they just don't care, kind of. Now they're starting to care a little bit because they see that I'm committed to it.
Well, and you're succeeding, making it to the finals of the competition this summer.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. But they're from Lebanon. Like, they don't really know what stand-up is. Like, we're still in Lebanon. We're still at like Tyler Perry type humor, where it's like a dude dressing up like a woman and then
the Nutty Professor or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And going up on stage and like, and so they like, there's some stand-up clips that they see, but it's not enough for them to really understand what it is, but
That's interesting how different parts of the world will get media on kind of like the back burner.
Well, I feel like North America has the most developed for sure for stand-up. Like UK obviously is good too.
Yeah.
But if you look at the
Canada's
best,
great too. I mean,
but that's what I mean.
you said North America. My bad. I thought you said the States.
Yeah, I mean, Canada has just like, I guess you would call them hidden gems, just because they're not famous, but they're as good as the American.
Yeah, they don't get the
comics,
same exposure.
Yeah, but
And then there's a bunch of Canadians who just move to the States and then they get famous.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That's the tried and true method.
but it's hard. I feel like it's hard if you're like me. Like you just like, if I were to move next year, it's like who's to say that this is even a job for me? It's like if you get famous here and then try to move there,
you've got like Just for Laughs under your belt or something.
it's much easier because they're like, okay, I think they give it to you based on if you're gonna have a career or if you got a job in the States or whatever. I don't know how that works, but for green cards or
I don't know. Yeah, if you got like signed up to do,
but I think you need a reason.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, I'm doing open mics every night, and they're like, get the fuck out of our, you're wasting.
Yo, it's crazy because I mean, up here, I feel like if you want to get a spot at an open mic, maybe not at Yucks or whatever, but even Yucks, if you put your thing in every month, you'll get picked sooner or later to go up. But there's so many nice open mics around here and welcoming communities and stuff that if you want to try stand up or if you've done it a bit and you want to get back into it, you can find those spots. Yeah. But we just went to LA on our honeymoon and holy shit, man. Like I went to the Comedy Store and they had this, it was like an open mic thing. You could show up and kind of put your name in the bucket and try to get up. And I was like, man, that'd be so cool. And I thought it was going to be around 3 minutes. So I figured, okay, I'm going to play this one comedy song. And then I get there and they're telling me it's only 2 minutes.
You get a 2 minute set.
Yeah.
What am I going to say in 2 minutes? Hi, what is 2 minutes?
I know, right? I mean, Kill Tony does 1 minute, but that that going in that you got.
But that's a format. Like there's an interview after, and there's like a bunch of factors to it. I'm showing up to an open mic run by a guy who looks like me with long hair. Yeah, and he's giving me 2 minutes. I'm running the light. I'm not doing.
Well, this was the Comedy Store, to be fair, but still, I was looking around at other alternatives, and a lot of the lesser than places had similar like 3 minute sets for the open mic, and you'd read reviews on Reddit, and it's like, yeah, you wait outside for an hour to maybe get a spot, and then you get 3 minutes, and there's nobody there in the audience except for other comics. And
and it's like, not to say that I would, if those were my only options, I would not avoid them. Like I would, okay, fine, I'll do 2 minutes, but it's not great, It
feels like oversaturation there, like it makes sense. I mean, it's LA. I wasn't really surprised, but I just kept thinking, wow, it's got to suck to be like wanting to just start or sort of up and coming comedian in a place like this where it's so cutthroat,
like on one side it's great because you're there already, like you don't have to move there or whatever.
If you are really good,
but on the other end it's like much harder to probably develop and start
and stand out.
Like that's the whole point of it. Like, oh, we can figure out who's funny in 2 minutes and then we'll put them on the 5 minute show, and then if they do well, it's I understand that it's like that, but it's still,
it just feels a little ruthless compared to what I came up in here when I was trying out.
For sure.
Well, shit. So your folks, you said, basically are just kind of neutral on it. Were you born here or were you born in Lebanon?
No, I was born here, and the idea was to like move back there eventually, but it just never happened. I think my protests plus what was happening there, kind of, I got lucky that I stayed here, kind of,
But you have no interest in going back when you're older, you think? Or
I always think about it like I would obviously have to have some sort of success in life, just have money to like not have to work all the time. Yeah. And then I would like to, sit in the village, like where it's quiet and shit, and just maybe get a couple cows or something.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
And then just sit up there for the summer. Years. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a buddy from work who he always talks about Lebanon and Beirut, I think is where he's from. Yeah. And he's always talking about wanting to go back and how beautiful it is there. And
it is. And it's weird because you go to some places and it's like, it's supposed to be Lebanon the green, but some places it's just all concrete. It's just, and a lot of people hate that, but then that's also what makes the country great, is that you can go out into the mountains or into the cedars and it's great nature, and then you can go into the city and there's a good nightlife. I don't know about now, but now it's kind of, but there was always like a good nightlife and good food.
Cool. It's a nice mix of like rural and urban.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And like, did you ever find it was dangerous, or does that side of things worry you at all? I've never been. I don't know. You hear the Middle East and that area. Yeah. I don't know the specifics.
I used to, as a kid, like probably up until 18 or 20, we used to go like every other year and then go for the whole summer. Yeah. So it wasn't dangerous, but it's like there is kind of no rules up to a certain point. And there's a lot of like military checkpoints that if you, like my dad was in the military and I guess he knows certain people, so you can get away. And I don't think you need connections to get away with it, but if somebody like me goes there by myself and I have an accent, like they know I'm not from there, they might give me some grief. But,
because you're alone too.
Yeah. But it's like, if you were there in 2006, like and then I guess there's been other shit that's happened since, but that was kind of dangerous for the moment, like during the attack, and then afterwards, it's like that's not
Kind of
too
goes
bad.
back to normal.
You just don't be. It's kind of governed. Like there is some police or some military surveillance, but it's like a lot of it is governed by the people.
Okay.
Like if you're a shitty person, then you'll probably pay the price one way or another, and it'll be by your neighbors. You know, it won't be by the cops.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the video of that crazy explosion that happened.
The port one.
It was like a factory or something.
Yeah, it was.
Oh man, I saw a new angle of that a couple weeks back, and it's insane.
Yeah,
The shockwave, like.
Again, I don't know. I don't like any of the news because I never know what the real truth is. Like, I'm not trying to be a conspiracy guy, but it's like, who knows what that could have been, you know?
Yeah.
But, for what they say, it looked like it was incompetence.
Yeah, negligence or something.
Yeah, negligence. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's truth to what you're saying, though. I feel the same way with the news, and even with what's going on in the Middle East now. Like, there's two sides to that, and you keep hearing, like, basically the one side say that the other side is completely lying. It's the same thing you get with, like, Biden and Trump supporters. It's like, no one believes that there's any truth to the other side, and there's no middle ground to anything. And because of that, you're inclined to believe, all right, well, then is the media biased one way or the other? Is it going to be some sort of skewed version of reality that I'm being...
Well, it is because it's like, depending on which side you're on, you're watching a certain channel because the other channel is like talking positively about the thing you hate, and you're like, they're wrong, and then the other person's like, no, they're, and is like, well, there's something happening in the middle that nobody's even considering. Nobody probably knows except for the people doing it, but I don't know. There's probably money involved. I don't know. There's something going on.
Well, it's land, isn't it? A lot of
this is based on land, but I don't know. It's like
Holy Land and stuff, which is crazy how long those fights have been going on.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I don't know the details. That's why I never want to talk about this stuff too much. Like,
I don't follow it that much either.
Depressing, first of all.
So I'm just going to interject another perspective, perhaps, that I was just reading about the other day, which is, if you look at the media, and yes, there's left and there's right media, there's biases there, but the top line media do try, I think, to tell the truth. Believe it or not, I still believe in the media that at least they try to do fact checking. There's editorial reviews, there's things like this. But what makes it very difficult in what they call the fog of war, where there's so much information flying around and you can't believe anything.
Well, and misinformation becomes a tactic.
Well, exactly, and it's the social media. Everybody's a reporter now, and they don't wait for fact checking, and they don't wait for editorial review. They just saw it. They got this 24/7 mentality. They just got to get it out as fast as possible. And hey, I'm a citizen journalist, and I'm spitting it out. But by the way, I'm in favor of this, or I'm in favor of that. You know,
and it takes time to sort through all those comments and make any sense of it. That's why I find myself always stepping away and just going like, I have no fucking idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I try not to, like, in my immediate life, I always try to, like, not focus on or worry about things that I can't control.
So then
that like translates into world politics, which sucks. Like, I wish I could be more empathetic and I do care, but like, I don't know. I'm just like, why am I gonna
arguing with someone on Instagram is not going to change?
Yeah, or like, why do I care? Like, I don't want to see how many people got hurt or how many. Like, I understand that there's going to be casualties and it sucks. I'm just, I don't know. It brings you down. And maybe I have the wrong perspective, but
I get your point about, like, if you can't affect change, then you know, you're wasting not wasting your time, but I know what you mean.
I would hope none of it would happen. If you told me, hey, if you go to this, I don't know, protest or sign this thing, like,
it's going to make
there's a good chance that this war will end. I'll do it. But if I know that these protests, some of them are just, nothing's going to happen, I'm just like, what am I really doing then? Am I just trying to show other people that I care? Like, what is happening? Like, this is my decision to make, you know? And people try to guilt you. And
well, I mean, I just wish I knew what the truth was, because I even saw that, like, hospital that got blown up, which is insanely tragic.
Yeah.
You know, they were saying it was Israeli airstrikes or something. And this is what I'm seeing in comments. Yeah. And then other people come and they go, no, it's not Israeli airstrike. If you watch the whole version of this video, you can see the missile that was Hamas missile misfiring that blew up the hospital.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, well, who's right? Commenter 1 or commenter 2? And I start, like, reading it, but I don't know, like...
Yeah.
what the truth is, and it's frustrating.
Yeah. No, it's, I don't know. War sucks. I wish it didn't have to happen. Like, that's the, I understand. That's like it's telling you, like, that's the hack argument. That's the argument of someone who is not educated on the subject.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know.
Well, because you don't want to speak out of turn either, and say the wrong shit, and then people are mad at you for saying the wrong shit, forming an opinion.
Yeah, the truth is that I don't really have an opinion on it. And so I just keep my mouth shut and hope the best for
everyone,
my country and their country too. I don't want
innocent people. Let's just say that, like, not warmongering idiots, because they've got those on both sides.
Yeah,
from every country, there's some of those. Mm-hmm. It's the innocent people that really like just fall by the wayside and get fucked over by everything. Anyways, this is a super uplifting topic.
Whatever. Let's
get back to comedy.
Yeah, comedy. Yeah.
Well, you did make the finals. I was talking about that. Oh, crowd work. I did want to ask you a time where crowd work went like super, super wrong for you.
Okay.
If you have like a story, or like a memory of a time where somebody just...
I don't know. Not to say that I didn't, like, I've bombed before, but I can't really remember one that went there's some that, like, okay, so one time we were at Poor Boy, and there was a lady sitting in the front, but she was sort of like, short hair and masculine features, let's say.
Okay.
And I was trying to talk to her, and the whole time I'm like, sir, what are you from? Why won't you answer me, sir? And then, like, 2 minutes in, she's like, I'm a woman. And I was like,
That's bad.
Yeah. And I don't know what I said. Like, I don't remember what I said. I like sort of recovered, but it was always, I don't think you truly recover if you still have it looming over your head,
Yeah.
So that was kind of awkward.
A perfect example of what I was talking about.
But now it's like, now I learned to ask, and be comedically hesitant or whatever.
Yeah. That's funny in itself, yeah.
Yeah.
See a guy like you being like, I don't want to assume your gender.
Yeah.
Well, you've worked like the door at Yucks for a long time, right? You still doing that?
Yeah, probably like a year and a half, 2 years. I took over for Mitch Muirhead, one of my good friends. Yeah, he's in Vancouver now.
Mitch and Mike.
They're
both out there now, right?
Yeah, I think Mike is doing photography, and then
I thought he was in film school or something.
I don't know.
Mike Timofey.
Yeah, Mike Timofey, and then Mitch is doing was it like a Foley?
Yeah, like sounds.
Yeah, where you I don't know.
Break some carrots.
Whatever.
Some guy's spine breaking.
Exactly, yeah, for movies and stuff.
That'd be a fun job, I think.
I don't know. He probably likes it. Listen, Mitch, like, I'm not a great friend. Like, I'm good to my friends, but I'm not always like reaching out to them and being like, hey, how you doing and stuff. Like, when we talk. But
yeah, I think most people are like that in their 30s.
Yeah, okay. So
at least that's been my experience, is figuring out like who your real friends are, the ones that might call you every couple months and just check in and see what's up. Yeah. I'm usually that guy. And eventually you can get sick of being that person if you're like, hey, I'm doing all the heavy lifting in this fucking friendship.
If no one checks in on you, yeah. Fair enough.
Well, that's one of the reasons I wanted to say that I always thought you were so kind, is because you and I have not really like hung out a lot, but I would always see you coming in the club, and you were always just like the nicest guy, always made me feel like we had known each other really well.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that. But have you ever had, like, I wanted to know some of your best memories of working the club and maybe some of the worst ones.
I don't know. The best would probably be like, okay, my stand-up ego is the best, is that I get spots a lot. Like this week, there was dropouts on Wednesday and Thursday, and I was able to hop on both nights, even though I didn't have a spot, because there is like a certain seniority based on like who's worked there the longest. I'm like second.
That's
on that.
sick.
Yeah. So if Chris Boris has a spot already or doesn't want the spot, then, but it was like, I got a spot on Wednesday, and the other guy, Chris Paul, got a spot on Wednesday too. So, but then there was another bartender who's also a comic. She didn't get a spot Wednesday, so on Thursday I at least offered her my spot, and she said no. So I was like, all right, say no.
So you
more.
can get up on stage way more than most people.
Yeah, and at a club too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Not just like a Well, I don't say amateur room, but
Yeah,
I guess that's what they are.
and that room is like, it's filled by Dylan Black. Dylan Black.
Yeah, on the radio.
Yeah, he gives out tickets on his radio show, and or he DMs people, and so there's a lot of reoccurring guests, and they know me and stuff, so it's easier for me to try new stuff.
Yeah, get playful.
At the same time, you don't want to get caught in that because they might be biased, but it's nice,
Yeah, because if it crushes with them because they love you so much, and then you go do it somewhere else and it falls flat, I get that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, well, before I get into this, I want to ask you, this is totally like left turn here, but what do you think is the best shawarma place in Ottawa?
Okay.
And what do you think is the secret to a perfect shawarma?
So I posted about this on my Instagram like last week, and that's where I got messages like, why aren't you posting about Palestine? And I'm like, I don't listen. I'm like, this is, and I think I said something which it had nothing to do with it. There was a guy, influencer, who tried all these shawarma places, and he was giving them reviews of which I thought they didn't deserve, but
Oh, like good reviews or bad reviews?
good reviews.
Oh, okay.
And because I'm a hater, if you
Take them down a peg.
But I was like this. I think I said this is this should be reported to the UN or something. I think maybe that triggered something. But listen, the UN is the UN, regardless of what's happening. I guess still reference the UN without it being associated with anything. But anyway,
No, what people are trying to say, like, how are you thinking about shawarmas right now?
oh yeah, whatever. I can,
But you got to keep living your life. I get it.
exactly. But I would always say like I'm biased, but at the highest level, like it would depend what your level of like indulgence or level of I don't even know, like your palate, I guess, for shawarma.
Okay.
In my head, everything, they all suck. Like they're all kind of pretty bad. Like
Everything in Ottawa?
yeah, just because there's a certain thing with shawarma where, and it sounds cool. It's with any recipe, right? You don't want to taste the individual things. You want it all to come together as one.
Like a melange, yeah.
Yeah, and that's how shawarma should be. I have not felt that here
Oh,
in
interesting.
probably a very long time. But the best way, I guess, or the way they do it over there is you could choose any bread. People say like you have to use the thin bread or whatever. You can do any bread, and then the toppings usually is like just the pickles and the chicken.
Okay.
There's no lettuce or tomato, but now they have lettuce and tomato.
Or what about the turnips, like the pink?
Yeah, pickles.
Oh, okay.
They're
Those
both
are
like,
awesome.
Yeah, pickled turnips, and then just like the Arab pickles.
Yeah.
And then garlic. You could put like that pomegranate sauce, but again, all these
weird.
There's a lot of like different ways now because it's evolved or whatever.
Yeah, I've never had pomegranate sauce on one.
But one of the keys is obviously all the ingredients have to be good. The chicken has to be juicy, garlic has to be good, whatever. And then what they do is they wrap your sandwich and then they dip it in like the grease, like where the shawarma thing
The
is.
meat thing, yeah.
Yeah, there's grease that drips, and you dip it in the grease, and then you burn it on the thing that is heating the shawarma.
Oh, crazy.
You stick it on directly, and it does like this caramelization thing, and
wow.
it's very good. Yeah, but
And you can't get that anywhere here.
there's a few places that do it or try to do it. I think maybe like Health Canada was like, you can't do that because when you do it, it creates like this flame because it's grease, right?
Oh, I thought you were going to mean like it was like clogging people's hearts or something. All the
I mean,
meat.
probably too, but you know when you like spill oil on your oven and it puts this like little spark of fire or whatever. That's what happens when you do it. So people I've seen do the grease thing and then put it on the regular grill, and I'm like, that's not gonna work,
Yeah.
You're the whole point is to flame broil the sandwich.
Sear it, yeah.
Yeah. So
Crazy. I had no idea that was even a thing.
yeah.
So of all the bad spots, what's the best
What's
bad
the least
spot?
shitty?
So if I'm like craving a shawarma, like I don't know, I want to say Palace, but there's a few times I went to Palace and it wasn't even,
Where's that one?
Shawarma Palace. The best one I think is the one on Maryville.
Okay, yeah. Near like the Best Buy and shit.
I think so, yeah. Because that one was, there's two shawarma palaces in Ottawa. One has like 8 locations, and then the other one is just that one.
Oh, they're not affiliated.
No, they're not. They're not affiliated. I don't know what the story is. I always heard stories, but everyone tells me a different
I
story.
love shit like that.
Yeah.
Little feuds.
Yeah. It's something like along the lines of a feud, but I feel like that one is good because it's busy, recurring customers, and then I feel like they do everything themselves. So it's like the chain Palace now has like a factory, so they do all the stuff at the factory, and then they ship it out to the stores.
Like Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons used to make their donuts on site. And
they don't do that anymore?
Exactly.
Oh, they get them from like Toronto, and they're like half cooked.
They're so tiny.
Yeah, and then they just warm them up and expand them. And it's just not the way they used to be.
Their coffee sucks too. I don't
know how Tim
sucks.
stays in business.
Nostalgia, and people just like love the Tim's hockey connection and all that stuff.
I talk about that a lot on stage. My hate for Tim Hortons.
It's really not good.
It's exactly what you said. Nostalgia and just like, oh, it's cheap and it's
proudly Canadian, but it's run by all Indian people now.
Yeah.
I think they bought them out or something, or there was some change that happened a while ago. They changed the coffee recipe, and some larger organization bought out Tim Hortons, from what I know.
Yeah.
I'm talking to my ass a little bit, but I know there's some truth to that.
No, I know what you're saying. And what happens is the same with Shawarma Palace is the margins, right? So they're like, oh, we can get, this chicken, it's a little bit gray or whatever, but we save $10 a pound.
Yeah.
And once it's cooked, it looks the same, So it's like,
get the gray chicken,
it's terrible. And that's what Timmy's is doing too. It's like,
well, McDonald's coffee is the way to go if you're getting drive-through coffee. I don't know. I don't go for like Starbucks and all the fancy shit. I make coffee at home usually.
Yeah, I started doing that too. I would go to Starbucks once in a while because I like the idea of like, Vietnamese iced coffee. You ever have that?
No, I've never.
Where it's like this super bitter coffee, and then they put ice and then like condensed milk, and then you mix it and you sort of have this contrast of like really sweet and really bitter.
Weird.
And you can kind of make something similar to that at Starbucks.
I've never really enjoyed crazy coffee drinks for the most part. And cold coffee is not really my thing. Like I'd have an ice cap once in a while, but that's more of like a dessert treat almost.
Yeah. No, nowadays I've fully converted to just like black coffee. Once in a while I have this like almond creamer that I put in.
I put that stuff, the silk.
Yeah,
that's good shit.
Otherwise I'm just like whatever.
They got a limited edition one I got the other day. It's like peppermint mocha, like candy cane
oh
chocolate
shit, okay.
Yeah, that's what I got in the fridge right now.
Okay. I'm not huge on peppermint, but
still, no, dude, mint chocolate chip ice cream is probably like my favorite.
I don't know, it's weird. It's
like brushing your teeth or something, I guess.
Yeah,
I get that side of it.
Let me leave that for something else,
I get the argument against it. It's just for me, whatever. Maybe it's nostalgia.
Preference.
It's like the color, everything. There's just something about that ice cream that's always.
It looks good. It looks really good. The lime green with the chocolate, like it does.
Yeah, it looks appealing, but
yeah.
Why? What are you hitting for ice cream if you're grabbing like from Baskin Robbins or something?
I'm a big Rocky Road. I like Rocky Road, and then
the marshmallows,
anything peanut butter.
Oh yeah.
But Rocky Road is nice because of the if you make it right, it's all about the textures. So you get like almond, the crunch.
I don't like the marshmallows though.
You get the softness of the marshmallow. Look, some Rocky Road stinks because of them. Like we know that marshmallows they have to be a good quality marshmallows.
Yes, not the garbage ones for sure.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you ever have now that we're talking about ice cream, do you ever have Heavenly Hash?
Which from Baskin Robbins?
No, it's just like an ice cream. You know Heavenly Hash, right? I always thought as a kid, I was like, this is hash?
Yeah.
Where does this come from, the name?
What, is that with brownies or something?
I can't honestly remember. It has some sort of nut in it, I think.
Yeah, but it's called a hash because it goes way back to dinner. When you'd have hash for dinner, all that is it's a mix of all sorts of leftovers that you have. You throw it in a fry pan, you fry it up, and now you think about Heavenly Hash ice cream. What is it? It's a mix of a whole bunch of shit that vanilla. They put together. Yeah.
So what is like hash browns? Where does that come from? Same thing?
I don't know.
Hash. I think hash refers to maybe the texture or the way the potatoes are.
Okay.
Cut. I don't know.
Well, because for the drug, it's just short for hashish.
Yeah.
But do you know they sell hash?
Where'd hashish come from?
Well, yeah, that's probably a Middle Eastern.
Grass. It means grass.
Oh, it does?
In Arabic,
Hashish?
yeah.
They're like, this is just some grass we're growing here.
That's what. Yeah, I don't know what the relation is to hashish, but if we say hashish, like that's the grass.
Interesting.
Yeah,
it was just their cover story when they were growing the crops, probably.
Yeah, maybe that makes sense.
I didn't even know they sold. Like, I knew obviously weed was legal. I go to the shops and stuff, but I keep seeing signs recently for like you can buy hash here, and it never even crossed my mind that I could buy hash.
Yeah, and it's some of it is really good. Like I've only had it once because it's like kind of expensive.
Yeah, for what you get. Yeah, the amount.
Yeah, and it's like I'm not gonna indulge in that stuff anymore. But
it's harder to ingest or whatever you want to call it. Like you can't just like. I mean, you can roll hash in a joint with weed or with cigarettes or something with tobacco, but you know, on its own, I guess you could toss it in a pipe.
Yeah, it's you have to either. Yeah, put like little.
I feel like it's more work, you know.
It is.
Well, you know how your mom used to do it.
What, hot knives or something?
No, she'd have a pin, a long needle sort of pin, and just get a little chunk of it on the end, and they'd light it and just.
Oh, just off the end.
Okay.
Yeah. We used to put like a cigarette or a joint that we were smoking, and then you would like make all these little flat coins of hash, and then when you just hold the cigarette on for a second, it would stick to it, whatever. And then you'd have a little like whatever pop bottles are like that big. I don't know, they're like 591s or something like that. Anyway, those guys, you cut just like a little square out, and then you would just put the end of the cigarette in there, and just let the bottle fill up with smoke. Which, looking back, with a cigarette, that's pretty fucking gross because you're just like letting it fill with cigarette smoke too. Yeah. But it was really cool to watch though, because when the little hash coin would, you know, ignite, you'd see this real thick white stream of smoke start like darting around, like really artistically almost.
And I always in my head, like while I'm observing, I'm like, this is just some like stoner shit.
Yeah. But, there's so much stoner theater.
But sometimes you're sitting and it's, you know, maybe you're indoors, maybe and the light is hitting the room and you're looking at the smoke go up, and especially for hash, like the way that, like you said, it's thicker.
So thick and white, yeah.
So I'm like, oh shit, this is as God intended or whatever, and it's like it's just smoke, dude. Relax.
Yeah, but smoke is a part of nature, kind of. You know.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting take. Did you ever do like a Jamaican shower?
I
don't know if that's a problematic term now in 2023.
Oh, I don't know. No, I've like. When I moved in on my own, I was like, "Oh, I could do this now." And I did it like, I did it like once, and I'm like, my joint is just getting wet. You know, it's like.
I mean, I've been in some pretty insane ones as a teenager. You've never done that? Or you don't even know what it is?
What that is.
So again, I don't know if the term is maybe in bad taste now, but I mean, Jamaicans smoke a lot of weed. I feel like they would stand by that shit. But it's when you go into a bathroom with usually like 4 or 5 people, sometimes more. You get several joints in the mix usually. But beforehand, someone goes in, turns the bath on, or shower or whatever, shower, I guess, Jamaican shower, and you close the curtain and it just gets real fucking steamy to the point when you go in ready to light your joints, it's already like, you could barely see anything, just thick, copious steam. And there's something about the steam that the smoke like sticks to it and just lingers around. And you can also do really cool stuff where like, you know what a shotgun is, right? Yeah. You turn the joint around and then you can shoot smoke out. So they could do that where like I could be like this far from you and the smoke would just like go across because it's the way the steam like floats along the top or something. Or my buddy would do this where he'd put for the listeners who can't see this, you kind of like lock your knuckles together and he'd be able to do a shotgun and it would go down his fingers like a little stream, like a ravine. Oh shit, that's kind of sick. Again, it's like stoner theater, you know, there's a lot of that. But what I remember most from doing that as a teenager is thinking it would be a really good idea, and then at some point having one of the worst coughing fits ever from some crazy hit that's now even worse because of all that moisture in the air and chugging from the sink because I thought I was going to die. My lungs were on fire.
Yeah.
And then the other part that you always remember is whenever it's done and you open that door, it's like the weirdest feeling because you get out and all this cold air just hits you and it's like someone just applied like wet saran wrap to your body or something. Needless to say, it feels trippy and it's pretty good for the head state you're in. It's kind of a cool, fun experience.
It is, yeah, it is. I just like, I don't know, I'm alone and shit. I'm just go out on my balcony
by yourself seems kind of sad.
Yeah, it was sad. I never did it again. I'm like,
you should have invited a homie over to.
Well, to be fair, like I like to steam sometimes.
Okay, and that's good for you.
Yeah, and I'll do it like a ghetto steam in my, like you said, I'll just put a towel under the door.
Yeah.
Not even light a joint, but just let let it steam up.
Homemade sauna kind of.
Yeah, and just sit and sweat as much as I can, and then just take a shower or whatever. But,
Yeah. The only thing you got to
yeah.
be careful is you'll get these drop marks on the ceiling, and if you don't wipe them off after, then they get nasty.
No, I noticed. I noticed in the place I'm renting, like some of the wall was like,
Wavy kind of.
yeah, and I was like, I'm not gonna do this here anymore.
Yeah,
I
it's
think you
gonna
need
collapse or
tile. I think you need tile in your bathroom to be able to do that.
Okay, well, I told you before when we were talking outside that, yeah, well, I think I said it here too, that you're not the easiest guy to research.
Yeah.
But I do love watching you on stage because you're so like genuinely just Cesar. Like, and I feel like I wrote this down somewhere. I feel like you on stage, you look like it would be exhausting to be anything but authentic.
Yeah.
Like you look like you feel like that concept of pretending to be anything that you're not is just like, fuck that.
Yeah, yeah.
There's truth to that? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still, I don't want to sound corny. I'm still trying to grow as a person, whatever. Like, really, actually find who I am. But I felt like I had this, a sense of like I just like to do what I like to do, not because other people are doing it.
Yeah.
And then
You're your own person. Yeah.
yeah, and then I got into comedy, and it was like, you start off, and everybody sort of starts off the same way, writing jokes, telling jokes,
Yeah.
the same rhythm, same whatever. And then eventually I'm like, yeah, this feels kind of weird. Like, that's why I don't like doing roasts, because you have to do that.
It's not your format. Yeah.
And then it comes off extra awkward when I'm saying it because I'm not used to practicing that rhythm.
That's better though, because so many people take forever to try to find their voice. And
Yeah.
if your biggest problem is that you don't enjoy doing comedy that's not in your voice,
Yeah.
that's not the worst problem to have. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't taking out my phone just to be a rude dick. I had emailed myself some articles that I thought were interesting, even if you want to weigh in on these. It's just some weird news shit that's going on. So this one I actually have wanted to talk to I think I've talked to you about it, but I wanted to bring it up on the podcast because I thought it was crazy that Thailand legalized recreational weed in 2022. They're only one of the few countries like us that it's just nobody cares anymore.
Yeah.
And since then, I saw this announcement that now apparently Mike Tyson is involved with, where it's a weed boxing championship.
Oh my God.
Okay, so former heavyweight champ and cannapreneur, I've never heard that. Good word though. Mike Tyson is launching the so-called weed boxing championship in August 27th in Koh Samui, Thailand's second largest island. According to Javier Haas from wherever the fuck he's writing from, Mike Tyson is starting a weed boxing championship in Thailand. Okay. But they're saying that participants will be required to smoke a bong or a joint before the fight. And the audience is encouraged to do so as well.
Okay.
So, like, do you think this is a good idea, or is this going to be horribly a bad situation? Or is it going to be boring? That's what I was thinking too. Are they just going to be like, yo, I don't want to fight you?
I don't know. I mean, is it regular boxing or like Muay Thai boxing? Do they say no?
If it's Tyson, I'm going to imagine
Probably
it's
regular.
boxing. But I think they've got everything over there.
Probably. I mean, look, like, I think it could go either way, but it has potential to be good because it's like if you're getting these guys that are really good at boxing, like think about something that you're good at, and when you smoke weed, you kind of
Get in the zone sometimes.
You get in the zone.
Yeah.
Whereas, if you buy a desk from IKEA and you smoke a joint, you're like, oh, what the fuck is this? Like that's when you sort of lose it. But if you already have like a mastery over something,
Yeah.
you're sort of already doing it without thinking about it.
And you're not anxious about it, really.
Yeah, and you're regular, like, so when you smoke a joint, it's just like, okay, maybe you have better instincts here, maybe less there. But
So you're thinking it could be like one of the best fights you've ever seen, kind of thing.
I'm saying I would watch that for sure. That's very interesting, and it's like Mike Tyson is sick because he just has money now and he's just doing
whatever the
shit
fuck.
that he thinks is cool. you know?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think
don't
it could go both ways, but I think if what you said is true, like if it's two fighters who regularly smoke weed already, then I think like that would probably be the outcome where they get into the zone and shit. But if it's
Yeah.
somebody who never smokes,
That's
that could
true.
fuck up his game hard.
That's true. But again, if you've never smoked, then maybe you won't sign up.
Yeah, why
for
are you
it.
going to the weed boxing championship? I guess. Yeah, That's
Maybe,
a fair
maybe
point.
the punches wouldn't hurt as much.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, but
I was just thinking it would maybe make you too docile, where you're just like, I don't really want to do this. I don't feel like aggressive right now. I just want to chill out and watch TV or something, you know?
it's hard to think of that perspective, because I don't do any of that shit. But it's like if I relate it to comedy, like I know that it does make me more docile. But then I've known other people that prefer to smoke weed because it makes them sharper.
Yeah.
So I think also it depends on the personality, you know?
For sure.
And then maybe some people will be more like flinchy or afraid, like, and that'll throw them off their game. Like,
Depends on the circumstance too.
Yeah.
Like, are you smoking before you do like a room of like 12 people, or are
Yeah.
you smoking before you do a theater show or something that's going to be?
True, yeah.
The stakes might affect your vibe too, you know.
Yeah.
But some people like Seth Rogen, I've heard him in interviews where he just smokes all day, every day, and
Yeah.
you know he's fucking successful. He's doing it.
Well, that's, yeah, when that's your normal.
Tommy Chong, Willie Nelson, Snoop
yeah.
Dogg, all these people that just like, they're like, no, this is just how I operate.
Yeah, it's like, obviously alcohol is worse, but it's this equivalent of like a functioning alcoholic.
Yeah.
Like, I worked with this guy who, like, when I worked
That's a
at
lot of comedians, I was going to say.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of comedians, and like they have day jobs and they just like get wasted there and then come have 5 drinks at an open mic. Like,
Oh man, the second part's not so bad, but day drinking at your day job's a little bit sad. I feel like
it is, and but again, like this guy I knew, he would like I would see him sneak out to lunch when he had like a
Flask
bottle
or
of
something.
whatever rum in his bag or whatever. But
Jesus.
this guy was like very, and I'm not just saying this to embellish the story, but this guy was very smart. Like he this was at a cell phone repair shop.
Oh, and he was good at his job.
And he
still?
was like an actual engineer. He was overqualified for this job.
Oh wow.
And he would be taking, like, I know that he's drunk, and he would be taking apart phones and looking at them with a microscope and doing all kind of crazy
Maybe
shit.
he just wanted the challenge of trying to do it with a buzz on.
Maybe, yeah. The drunken master, you know, that's
Well,
a
as
whole
long as he was
thing.
taking the bus.
Yeah. I think he was.
Yeah. All right. Well, here's another one. Oh, that one's kind of depressing. That one's about China and nukes. Oh, so this one I found was interesting, though. Okay. Climate change is a matter of life and death for people with albinism or albinism. I'm not sure how do you pronounce that. My dad would probably know. Or either or, it's one of those.
Yeah, albinism is what I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they're saying, that studying climate change, its impacts on skin cancer with people with albinism are both deadly and largely overlooked. And they're saying that in Africa alone, persons with albinism are up to 1,000 times more likely to develop skin cancer, with many dying by the age of 40. Isn't that crazy?
Time to get out of Africa.
I mean, if you're,
Go to Scandinavia.
If it was that easy to do, I think a lot of people in the more
Yeah.
poverty-stricken parts of Africa would not be there.
Yeah. I mean, if you're born, like, if you're born an albino in Africa, like, I mean,
God hates you.
God put you there for a reason, maybe, but it's, I don't know. It's like,
Do they just gotta like try to stay out of the sun, I guess, as much as possible? Because they're talking here about
Wear
trying
cloaks,
to
yeah.
get free fucking sunscreen
yeah.
given
okay.
out for all of Africa, but really especially these people.
It's their eyes too, especially. They can develop a lot of eye damage, I think, over a lifetime.
shit.
Yeah.
Oh, their eyes are more sensitive to the sun?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. That's some weird stuff. Like, I'm not trying to call them weird, but that would be like a very different lot in life to be an albino.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're still, you can walk, you can talk, like you still have a lot of options to succeed, but I don't know. It'd be an interesting way to have to live because, people are going to make fun of you, at least when you're young, probably.
Yeah.
You ever seen that movie Powder?
No.
Oh, you should watch Powder.
I've heard of it.
You should watch it. It was like one of my favorite movies growing up, and still it gets you in the feels, man. It's about this kid they find, and he's been living in his grandparents' like basement. They kind of keep him like locked up down there because he's an albino, and this is, I think it's set in like maybe the 70s or 80s or something.
Yeah.
So his parents died. His mom died during childbirth, which you later find out she was like struck by lightning or something, and then she died from that. But that's why this guy, he's got like all these crazy electrical powers and shit, kind of.
Okay.
And they kept him locked up down there, and all that was down there was books. So he's like super fucking smart too, but he has zero social skills, and he's kind of terrified of anything that's not this basement.
Yeah.
But when the social workers, they find out he's down there, they get him out, they try to put him in school, and the movie's all just kind of about that, him trying to acclimate to society, and you're realizing, okay, there's something weird, like whenever he's around the TV, it goes off and stuff like that. And his hair stands up during a storm. And it's just kind of a cool movie because it's not as far-fetched as like a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
They try to keep it in the realm of like, oh, maybe this could happen. Like his mom was struck by lightning, and Jeff Goldblum is like the teacher.
Okay.
Who's trying, the guy from Jurassic Park.
Yeah, he's always in those weird.
Yeah, it's a good movie for him. But
Yeah, it is.
There's a part in that movie that like really stuck with me as a kid. I don't think I've talked about this on the podcast, but where they make him go on this like hunting trip with some of the other parents and students from the school, and he doesn't really want to go. And then they shoot a deer, and he's like traumatized by this
course,
shit.
yeah.
He somehow gets his hand on the deer, and they come over like, what the fuck are you doing, And he's like, it's in pain. And then they're like, oh, you fucking loser, being a dick to him. So he grabs the arm of the guy who shot the deer, and then he like makes the guy feel the pain that the deer is in.
Shit, yeah,
And it's
okay.
like, it's a heavy scene, really good acting.
Yeah.
Everyone should check out Powder, man.
I'll probably add that to the list.
I think it's 1995 or something like that
Okay,
came out.
good, yeah.
Yeah, it's not super old school. Have you seen Powder? Yeah, it's a good flick, right? While I do still think that Powder is a solid flick and you should check it out, after we recorded this episode, I stumbled upon some information about the film that I was completely unaware of, which is that the director of the film was a complete and total creep, a registered sex offender who had forced himself on a minor. And I'm not even going to go into the gory details. You can look that shit up on your own. But I just had to say something because I was completely unaware of that. And this has been a favorite movie of mine since my youth. And it was really, really gross and crushing to find out that the guy behind the film was just a total skis. I mean, look at this guy. This guy just looks like a pedo. Anyways, a bit of a bummer to find out that knowledge, but back to the podcast. And the guy who played Powder, I don't think he was in like anything else. Maybe I looked him up once and I don't remember thinking that he had a real,
is he actually
robust career.
Is he actually albino?
No, I don't think so. I think
Okay,
they shaved his head and put a bald cap and
Yeah,
shave
yeah.
his eyebrows off and everything and give him contacts. Yeah. Because, I mean, how hard would it be to find
A good albino actor.
yeah, like a crazy,
Fair
like
enough.
super good dramatic actor who just also happens to be albino.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's one guy.
They're
out
not going
there.
to start picketing like you should have hired, the way Hollywood does.
That's what they
now.
would do now. Yeah.
Yeah,
They'd be
that's
like,
what-
you're taking away jobs from real albino actors
That's the-
Make the movie worse to make
to make people happy.
us feel better or whatever.
Yeah. Shit. Okay, well, I've got a couple more of these. This is kind of sad. I shouldn't be laughing, but a 104-year-old woman, she went skydiving, and then she died like the next week in her sleep.
Okay.
So she survived the skydiving.
Yeah, I was gonna say
It's almost like a little ironic. It
Yeah.
feels like.
she's just like, whew, I get to live to 105 and then next week.
Nope.
But maybe I don't know. Maybe it was like that was one of her goals, and then she's like, oh, now I can rest.
I can pop that. I can pop that bubble because that was her second time skydiving.
Oh, really?
shit.
Her first time was at like 98.
But I think I read that they're still trying to determine that she most likely got the Guinness record off this one for being the oldest person to ever skydive.
Oh, she probably did. She deserves it.
That's a pretty cool legacy, even though she did die right after. Like,
Yeah.
couldn't have gone better.
Yeah, it'll be some high school kids.
Anyway, she looks like a nice lady, right?
Okay, yeah.
I don't know. That was the feel-good story of the bunch. Oh, and this one I heard about. I was talking to my kids about this. I think it was July, but at I'll just read it here. A Canadian amusement park ride turned into nightmare fuel after stopping suddenly, suspending passengers upside down 70 feet above the ground for 30 minutes. It's like one of those like boat things. So they're just completely upside down. At Wonderland, this happened.
How long would it take for that to damage you? Like,
That's what I was thinking. Like your brain, all the fucking blood's rushing there, and
That's where you worry about, it's going to drain to your head. It's going to pop the pressure up in your head. So if you got any weak vessels that, when you were 75 or something, might be the stroke that took you out, you get to enjoy that at 32 because you've been hung upside down
you get
for
an aneurysm
30 minutes.
30 years too early. Yeah.
Was anyone affected by it? Or?
I believe it said that there was just 2 people that like had chest pain after, which I guess maybe the next day she died or something.
Just chest pain.
Well, there were no fatalities, I didn't even say anything about going to the hospital, so I'm imagining it was just, they could have just been shook up. But
I mean, listen, if you Google chest pain, you're not going to get some good results.
that's true.
Some of the worst shit is chest pain. So.
He was just anxious,
Self-doctoring on Google is
It's
a
terrible,
nightmare.
yeah.
Yeah, you can go down a rabbit hole.
I've already
way too quick.
been through that in my life. I never do that again.
No, because you're just always going to find the terror. Okay, well, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to ask you guys to guess instead, because this was about China is expanding its nuclear stockpile, okay? And they're not quite up to the leading stockpiles. First of all, who do you think are the two people with the most nukes? Very easy, I would imagine.
I mean, I would say U.S. maybe, and then
U.S. for sure.
Yeah, U.S. for sure.
Russia. I don't know.
U.S. and Russia.
Yeah.
Although North Korea, who knows? Or
No, North Korea doesn't have a huge bank.
They're just fronting.
They only figured out how to do it there about a dozen years ago, so they got a few.
Okay, so here's my question to you: what is the size? And I guess this is in warheads. Of Russia and U.S.'s nuclear arsenals. What is your estimation, and who do you think has slightly more than the other?
Like as far as how many
warheads? I mean, this is just according to this article, but the number blew me away. Like, how do you ever need that many if one will ruin the world forever?
Well, one won't ruin the world forever.
Oh, that's true. They've blown up a bunch of them over.
Yeah,
time.
I mean, it's if you drop a nuke on Ottawa, just a 5 megaton or something like that, it's going to have a pretty bad effect downtown. But if you're out in Orleans, you're probably going to be okay.
But ambient radiation is going to.
Oh, well, you've got fallout and stuff to deal with. But I mean, the explosion is not going to take you out. There'll be a shockwave that will go. But if you are a bit prepared for it, you're going to.
I would imagine they have bigger ones than that.
They have that's
never
it.
Used
in these stock. So warheads is an interesting
term.
Term, because that's like one bomb. But the bombs can be all different sizes, including some big fuckers that'll do like major damage, right? So, but if you're going to talk warheads, my guess is going to be like for someone like Russia, it's somewhere between like 1,500 and 3,000 or something like that, I think.
Okay, you got.
I was going to say 1,000. I don't know.
Okay,
I have no idea. Like
Russia has slightly more than the U.S. with 5,889, and U.S. is just over 5,244. Why do you need 5,000? I mean, I think that is overkill.
Also, for me, like again, the conspiracy brain is like, what others like? What kind of like lasers and shit do they like that? They're not
new weapons
showing to the public,
or bio warfare. Like they'll just drop the new COVID.
Yeah, exactly. Just fucking.
There's probably some truth to that. I don't think that's conspiracy. They'd be dumb not to be experimenting with that stuff, really, because their enemy's probably doing it, and that's what always fuels this. It's like, well, we don't want to be the one caught with our pants down when China drops some crazy parasite bomb on us. We should have had one of those. And that's, because it's crazy when you go back in history of nuclear testing, where they were just blowing them up to see what happened and study the shit without any regard to like the causality of what's going to happen to the earth,
Yeah.
And they did a lot. I can't remember how many, but it was dozens for sure.
Yeah, but it wasn't quite that black and white at the time. I think there were those people who were very concerned about. Well, hey, we're playing with. I mean, even Oppenheimer himself, right, was a little worried about him. The one they lit that time in the desert, the big one that they lit. They were worried that the atmosphere was going to catch on fire.
So why do it?
Well, because that was one person. The rest of them said, no, we'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, you see these ones where they do them out at sea, and there's people, watching from somewhere on a boat filming this thing. And I always wonder, like, did that person get like royally screwed over because they were standing here?
Yeah.
That's the Bikini Atoll ones that they did.
Well, there's many they did in the ocean.
Yeah, but the one with all those warships, they're all old destroyers and things like that.
Oh, those were empty though.
Yeah. They just towed them out there for the destruction. How bad was it going to be? Yeah.
Wasn't there like a movie, maybe it was like the Genghis Khan movie or whatever? It was filmed like on a nuclear
I didn't know that.
test site, and then a bunch of people got cancer or something. I don't know if I'm talking out of my ass.
Shit, I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you can fact check that.
There are some things like that. Yeah, we would need to fact check a lot of this stuff. But even in in the U.S. desert where they did a lot of these tests, I mean, there were small communities downwind and things like that, and they studied the cancer rates on those guys for a long time.
One thing I think is, if we're going conspiracies here, I'm going to throw it into the alien route because I always thought Roswell was really interesting, which I believe was in 1947, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been 49. It's one or the other. But when you think about that, isn't it interesting that if aliens came to visit, that it's so soon after we did like Hiroshima and Nagasaki and blew up those nukes, that they're like, all right, they're coming to intervene or check it out or monitor us. Like, okay, this is an important milestone in the possible destruction of this planet,
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of on the fringe of that. Like I don't seek information myself, but I have a friend, another comic, Chris Paul. He's he's really into that stuff. Yeah. He works at Yucks too, but he reads all kind of articles and stuff, and it's like, okay, who knows what is real, what isn't. But one of the things they say is that they often appear in like where there is sightings. A lot of the times it's above like war zones or something, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I've heard that as well.
Yeah, or nuclear test sites or whatever. Yeah. So there might be something to that where they're just like observing either what we've got, like, or
making sure we don't
destroy
the planet. Yeah. Well, because a lot of people think that maybe aliens, like, that we're like some sort of experiment of theirs, you know?
Yeah.
And that's how we diverge from monkeys and all that shit.
A lot of people think like they're God, like they're what God is.
But then what's their God?
I know.
That just keeps going, you know?
Yeah.
Crazy. All right. Well, I've got a bunch of random questions on the other side of this page. Unless you have any questions, Dad, I wasn't sure if you would have.
Nope, I'm a blank slate.
Okay, no worries. What is your fondest memory of high school?
I kind of...
Or did you not have many?
I wasn't a big fan of high school. I do have good memories, I guess. I don't know. It would probably be just like in 12th grade when I started skipping class. And then I would watch the, Steve Harvey show or whatever at home. I guess that would be my fondest memory of high school is not going to high school.
Yeah. Being absent.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then somehow graduating without studying. That was like a big deal for me.
Nice.
Because I really
didn't study at all?
Barely. I did cheat a few times, but I just that period was so stressful because my parents were very into school, and then I was very not into school.
They were always on your ass.
Yeah, and I didn't get to choose what I wanted, kind of. I had to take all the sciences, all the maths, and I was just like, this sucks. Like,
what did they want you to be when you grew up? Did they always tell you, like, you're going to be a doctor or some shit?
Yeah, doctor, engineer, typical shit. And I always knew that I didn't want to do any of that.
Yeah.
I just never knew what it was until, I found comedy, I guess, but...
Well, that's good. I mean, you got to do what's right for you, and hopefully now your parents are coming around. It sounds like so.
Yeah, they're cool, and now like.
Do they come to shows ever or no?
No, I don't know if I would. I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Yeah, I can relate.
I say a lot of shit that parents, would be like. I don't want my kids saying that,
Yeah.
But.
What, is your family Muslim?
No, but they're they're old school.
Okay.
So. They're like, oh, why would you make fun of this guy? And I'm just like, I don't know.
Not to say that all Muslims are party poopers or something.
No.
But I know there's certain ways of conducting yourself, It's
similar to that. Arabic as Arabic people as like culturally is very similar, but then there's differences within the religion,
Because Lebanon is Muslim and Christian, right?
Yeah. I don't know what the percentages are, but
I think I looked it up once, and Christian was like 30% or something, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I think it's still more Muslim there, but I don't know. I'm not the guy to speak on that with authority.
No, because it might be true because I went to a Catholic school, so all those Lebanese people I knew, they were Christian. But outside of school, like I have a few friends that are Lebanese, they're Muslim, and outside of school, most of the Lebanese people that I met are Muslim. So
okay, interesting.
They're probably a majority.
That checks out then, yeah. What's the strangest thing in your fridge? Or that you might have in your fridge frequently, that people would think was weird. Hopefully not like human head or something.
No. Honestly, nothing that crazy. Maybe like it's not that, but maybe like kimchi. I don't know. That would be the weirdest.
Kimchi's good. I like
it.
That
Is
stuff.
Yeah, it's good.
That's like the cabbage stuff that tastes like vinegary
fermented,
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really good for you.
Yeah.
Same with sauerkraut. You can get it fermented too.
Exactly. Yeah. I have that too. There's too much hot sauce maybe.
Oh yeah.
I have like 30, 40.
I've got so much.
Just like sauces in general, but also most of it is hot sauce. But there's.
Okay, maybe you can relate to this then, because I find I eat so much hot sauce that like sometimes I won't for whatever reason. Like actually, when I was chewing gum earlier this week, I bit the inside of my mouth like really fucking bad, where I felt like my tooth go into the skin,
Yeah.
And then that turns into like a canker, like and stings and shit. So when you have a canker, you have to just like eat like all bland food and stuff. So there's been times like that where I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna have any hot sauce, and I find food is just so boring.
Yeah.
Like I need that little kick. I don't know.
It depends.
I wonder what that says about me.
I mean, if you get used to it, like on a sandwich, I'm sure there's people that eat sandwich without mayo or without whatever. It's like I can't have a sandwich without mayo.
You gotta have some kind of condiment
because I'm used to it. Yeah. So you're probably used to. I'm not.
Hot sauce is unique because it's really doing something to your taste buds. That
I'm not dependent on hot sauce. I just like it. Once and then I have a roommate, so he piles up his own. I pile up my own, and then it just ends up being. But we do go through it. It's not like just sitting there.
Yeah, well, there's so many places to buy it now too.
Yeah.
The place in Bayshore is insane.
Yeah, Meow, that's hot. Shout out to.
Oh yeah, that's true.
They got their own. We got a few of those in there.
Yeah, and shout out to Chris Paul, who you brought up earlier too, because he's another guy who's always been so nice. I don't know him well, but I see him when I come in Yuck Yucks, and he's just a really cool dude.
Yeah.
Okay, did you have a favorite toy when you were growing up?
I don't know before. How old are you in the first grade? Like 8?
My son's in first grade. He's 6.
6. Okay, so I started playing. I got an N64 like in the first grade.
Damn.
And I would say that whatever console I had was probably my favorite thing. Before that, I was told that I was very much into trucks and cars, typical,
Yeah, that's a typical boy toy, I guess.
If I actually, now that I think of it, is the only one I can remember was like, one of those Hot Wheels tracks where you like build it and then you propel it and it goes all the way around.
Yeah, those are fun.
And it never works properly until like once in a while it does.
Or if you lose one piece, it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
That's cool.
No.
Right on. Yeah, those are good answers. If you could trade lives with somebody, who would it be?
I don't want to make this a cop-out thing, but I spent a lot of my life thinking about, could I have been a different person? And if I change this, I do that, and blah, blah, blah. And I like very much at peace with who I am, because regardless of the mistakes or the good or whatever, that's led me to where I am right now, which is, I know it's corny, but
that's amazing.
But that's just how I believe. So it's hard for me to like.
It sounds like you practice gratitude in a big way.
Yeah, I try, it's like all these little things will limit your anxiety, will limit whatever. But,
yeah. That's a great answer.
So,
what if it was just for a day you could switch?
Yeah. So without any envy involved, just to see what it's like, I would probably do like, I don't know, maybe like, maybe someone like Tom Green, because he seems to have like, and it's not a disrespect, like he's famous in his own regard, but he's not like Kevin Hart famous where people will swarm him.
I think he was at one point.
He was
on the MTV show and all that, but
but what it is like, you get fans that come up to you, you get the gratitude, but it's not overwhelming. Maybe he'll tell me otherwise, and then you sort of have the financial freedom to do any project you want.
Yeah, or live on a farm with your donkey and your
exactly. So I see him like, just, it seems like he's doing what he wants, what he likes, and he's not just like buying fur coats. And
when he moved back to Canada, all the stuff you see on his Instagram, he just seems like very at peace,
Exactly. Yeah.
And he's doing stand up again, like touring around, and if he's not doing stand up, he's just on his farm. I'm like, that's got to be a pretty peaceful, chill life.
That's how I would, like, if my life ended up, maybe not the fame, I don't care about the fame, but if my life ended up like that financially, and the fact that I could do stand up anytime I want, anywhere.
But you don't have to, like.
I would want to. I would like to think that I would do it for the rest of my life, regardless of success or not. But
no, I just mean like being in a position where you can do it just because you want to.
Exactly.
And you don't care if you get paid or whatever.
Yeah. It's not a financial struggle. You're doing it because you love it or whatever it is. It's like, that would.
That was beautiful answer to something. I thought you were just going to be like, someone rich.
Brad Pitt.
Like, well, you never know what people will say about Elon Musk or somebody who's got $1 billion.
Oh, yeah. Too much responsibility. No way.
Right? Yeah, that would be a pain in the ass.
Wouldn't you want to be a girl?
It would be interesting.
Try it out for it's a day.
Yeah, it's a day. Yeah.
I don't know. I get a girl brain sometimes, and I'm like, I don't feel. I don't like that. I'm not good, but you know what I mean. Like sometimes women have a hard time with hypotheticals. Let's say, where I'm like, I give you would you rather do this or this? And it's like, I don't want to do any of those. And I'm like, Pick one. It's just a question, you know?
That was like with the drinks before we started.
Yeah.
Gave you 3 flavors. Just pick one, Dad.
But I don't know. Yeah, that would be interesting to be a woman, just to like see what it's like to constantly be on high alert because there's a bunch of dudes
all the time.
Yeah, a bunch of dudes crowding around you and trying to pick you up and stuff like that.
If it was your brain, though, I feel like it would take just like a couple hours to just like stop thinking, where's my dick? This feels really weird.
Yeah,
my dick and balls are gone.
Yeah.
Like the physical, you're so used to that, you know?
Well, wouldn't you just want to try an orgasm from a woman's perspective?
Yeah, that would kind of be cool.
Answer that question, like what's a guy's compared to a girl's?
Yeah, I guess just to have that knowledge. But then what if it's way better? And then when you go back to your guy body, you're like, fuck, I can't find my G-spot.
I feel like it might be maybe more work versus more reward for a woman.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And having a period would suck.
Yeah, period sucks.
We owe to women like a huge big up to you for putting up with that bullshit.
Yeah.
But especially it's like if the one day you have
the one day you turn into a woman, it's like the middle of your cycle. Heavy flow. That's true, eh? You're like, fuck, I got screwed.
Yeah, you just wake up as a dude and your sheets are all bloody and you're like, what the fuck happened? This is insane.
Oh man. What's his name in the competition this year had that good bit all about Patty Mac, all his thing about if dicks had to be bleeding, you know. Yeah, he was very strong this year around in the competition. Yeah. Okay. If you were going to run for prime minister, what would be your slogan? Or the Cesar Mac slogan?
Yeah. I don't know. Just let's just get shit done, dog. Like, what am I doing all this talking for? Listen, what do you want? We'll put a poll, whatever you want, we'll fucking fix it. You know?
Nice.
I don't need money. I'm here to run the country. You can keep all my money. You know what I mean?
Just you might just get elected with that kind of a
look,
platform.
you need political knowledge, which I have zero of, so there's probably no chance of me getting elected for anything. But I don't know. It feels like
let's just get shit done, dog. I like that.
Yeah, just be a leader, and like a leader listens to his people, does what's right, not for financial gain or whatever.
I don't think we got a lot of that these days, but
no, I feel, and again, I don't know enough about it. Sometimes I feel ignorant because I'm like, oh, it's all corruption and blah blah, and then somebody who knows about economics will be like, it's not all like some.
There are still good people in the fight. Yeah. But I get that feeling too that like old school politics in like the 60s or something, you still had guys like Kennedy who like cared about the people, and you know, and now I feel like there's probably still those out there, but maybe not at the highest levels. It seems like everyone at the top has got their own fucking agenda, and
maybe they don't get voted in because the people that may, like, I don't know, but the people that work with the party are like, we need to make money too. Get somebody that is
dreams are nice, but like we gotta keep the checks rolling in.
Exactly.
What's the stupidest thing you've ever done? Like mistake or something you regretted so badly? I feel like this one might come right to you quick.
Yeah, there's a couple in my head.
Or can you talk about it?
No, it ranges from like credit card debt at one point to when I was like 7 or something. I don't know. I like to like tinker with shit.
Okay.
And for some reason, I had the stereo plugged in, and I just took a pair of scissors and cut the cord while it was plugged in. And I remember this, like, I didn't get hurt, but I just remember this, like, big explosion. And I'm like...
Oh, you didn't get shocked or anything, though?
No, but there was, like, the scissors were black. Like, it was...
Yeah.
And I'm like...
Sparks everywhere.
And I was like, why the fuck did I do that? Like, there was no reason... Like, as far as just the word stupid, like, that might have been probably the stupidest thing. Or just one of... I'm sure there's other... Yeah. That's the one that came to mind. I'm sure
I had something like that, too, when one of my dogs, he's not around anymore, but when he was a puppy, he chewed the cord kind of to a TV, and... I like touched it like an idiot. I just like kind of grabbed it without thinking and got a pretty decent little shock.
Yeah.
Like being electrocuted is such a weird feeling.
It is.
Not that I've had like any massive electrocution or anything, but even what I have had, it's like nothing else, you know? It makes your hand feel like it's vibrating for like an hour after that, or like it's being pounded. You've been shocked, Dad, a couple times or no?
Yeah, I have done the odd stupid thing when I was doing some wiring where I got a little zzz.
It's a weird sensation.
Yeah, and you wouldn't, and those are light. when you see these guys on the high voltage lines and they get one of those, you understand why they're dead, because it's electricity is so dangerous.
There's that famous picture. Have you ever seen of the guy and he's
doing the life, the kiss
CPR.
of life? Yeah.
Like, he's like holding the guy who's still strapped in, who's like out, and he's like holding him and giving him mouth to mouth up on the pole or whatever.
On their cherry pickers or whatever. Yeah.
It's a crazy photo.
Yeah, those things are, I mean, like that, what you described as like a workplace injury, I guess, or whatever. But it's like, if you do what I did, or what, like you do that twice, like the second time you deserve it.
That's
I feel
on
like,
you.
I feel like getting shocked is a good lesson, and it's a good like indication of how well you learn from your lessons. You know?
I think you deserved it on the first time. That was pretty stupid.
Yes.
But I was young. I was like
At 7 though, at 7.
If I did this last week, I would agree with you. You know what I mean? But it's like,
well, because as a kid, you think, all right, you use scissors to cut strings and things that are similarly shaped, at least.
Yeah, I think about this memory like, I don't know, once every couple months, and I'm like, why? What is a reason that I could even attribute to me doing that? There's nothing. I can't come up with any reason why I would do that.
Just brazen childhood curiosity.
Yeah, that's it.
Kids put like a fork in the outlet when they're young enough, you know.
But it's the same vibe as that. But again, if you do that twice and you get shocked twice, it's like, all right.
Well, yeah, usually you don't do it twice, because I think the first time, sometimes it's simply just defiance. It's like, oh, mom told me not to do this, so I'm going to do it. And then you realize why mom told you not to do that shit.
Yeah.
So your credit card debt, though, okay, can I ask how you accumulated that?
Yeah.
Or is it like strip clubs? Something you'd rather
No, it's just negligence. It's nothing. I'm not like addicted to gambling or whatever.
Okay.
Not that,
Nothing too
if
salacious.
that's your vice, fair enough. But no, it was just negligence.
Not keeping track of finances, I think that happens to a lot of people at one point or another.
Yeah.
Take out a line of credit or something, and I'll pay it back.
Yeah,
and the
exactly.
interest fucks you up the ass.
Yeah.
Do you collect anything? You can see, obviously, I have various collections of all sorts. Do you have any collection of any kind?
I don't like, once I started doing comedy, I sort of,
I know. I was just going to say you collect laughter from audiences. I've seen that myself.
yeah, but I don't know. I started this like whole minimalistic thing, not fully, but just like, oh, I don't need all this stuff, but I like it. I like stuff very much. And I think the one collection I have, I still have.
That makes me look like a psychopath.
No, but I was telling you before the show, like I really love this. I would love to have this, but I just don't have and if you want to call it that, discipline to. But no, but
it's more of like I get what you're saying.
The discipline to commit to the hobby. You know what I mean? To commit to whatever it is. But I do have a lot of like records and CDs and stuff.
Oh, nice. But no, the minimalist thing, that makes sense why you don't have a collection really in a big way.
Yeah.
I got to say though, like it does look like there's lots of stuff, and I try to keep it pretty tidy, but I cleaned up down here yesterday because I do get to points where I'm like, okay, I got too much of this or it's getting too crowded in here. And then I get like anxiety from it if it's too clustered or not in the way that I like, I guess. Or if I just have stuff sitting around where I'm like, okay, I'm not using this. I'm not really enjoying this anymore. And I could probably be selling this.
Yeah.
Then it eats away at me. I'm like, this board game I don't play could be $50 or, this card is worth whatever, So I do a lot of that as well, which is the one way I think that I've been able to continue like being a nerd and collecting things is I try to have an approach to like a very practical approach to my nerdery is like, if it's not being enjoyed, if it's not being used, sell it, and then use that money when I want to buy something new that I don't really need, Like most of this is self-funded by selling other shit and then just buying new shit. And, so that's my practice. But, okay, if you had a warning label, what would it be? I thought I found some fun ones for today.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like, I'm not gonna say what you want me to say, I guess.
That's very Cesar, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like if you're asking a question, maybe based on approval or like not approval, but like validation, like self-validation. Sometimes as a comic, maybe you know that a joke is not that funny, or and then you ask like 8 people, or you ask, oh, how was my set? That's a better one. It's like, how was my set? And you kind of know how your set was. And most people will just tell you, oh, good set,
They won't be real.
Yeah. I'll never go out of my way to tell somebody, they did bad or whatever.
But if they ask you for
if you ask and it wasn't but I'll be at least, if
You're not
they
going to
want
brutalize
constructive-
them, but
no.
but I think that's to be commended, really, because
Yeah.
people who won't say anything for fear of rocking the boat or causing a minor conflict, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, you don't get anything done that way.
Yeah, and I try not to give advice unless they ask, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't have I know nothing anyway. Like I'm 5 years, like you should seek advice from people who are 20 years in, 10 years in.
Real
15,
veterans.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're definitely a talented comedian, but I also find you're very humble. I get that vibe off you generally, that you're not like a showboater, you know? On stage, like, you definitely dominate people, but
Yeah.
you do it in a way where it feels loving still, kind of.
Yeah.
When I've seen you messing with the crowd, like, you still, I don't know, you emanate a vibe of like, hey, we're just fucking around. Like, I'm not being super serious, even though you'll say shit that's harsh sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, if you invite them to that arena where it's like anything goes, like, I don't care if they say something about me. Like, people say stuff about, or I'll say stuff about myself.
Yeah.
It's like, we're just here for funny, you know?
Yeah.
Everything that is being done is in the sake of being
Spirit
funny.
of comedy, yeah.
It's not
You should
to
see
judge.
this clip on his Instagram, Dad, of this woman saying it's like a red flag on a date if the guy orders a Lyft instead of an Uber, and Cesar just goes off on her like, who the fuck are you? Like Melinda Gates? Like, I'm going to call my cousin to come pick you up or something. You know, I'm doing a service for you. It was really, really funny.
And that was a while ago. But
you should post more stuff. I
have a couple of things in the chamber. It's just hard for me to go and edit them and put
because you're fucking
subtitle.
funny on stage, and I feel like when I saw how little of you was available to people to see online, I get that too, because I hate posting stuff. It can become a chore, but you got to get up some more stuff because people deserve to see.
For me, it's like, I know, and I want to sound like I know that I still have more potential. So like that clip you're talking about, I look at that and I'm like, I would have said this differently. I was so much worse back then. You know what I mean? And I kind of, I always have in the back of my head that these clips will be on. At the same time, it doesn't matter, but I don't know. I just want.
You can always delete them later too if you feel like you've grown so far that it's making you cringe. But
that's true. Yeah,
I'd say there's some good qualities to leaving them up and having those moments where you go, oh, look how much worse I was back then, because that's just a reminder of how much you've grown and how much you're succeeding and getting better. So
I try not to delete them, but also not post them in the first place if I know that it's something that I'm gonna regret, you know.
Or if you think you could have improved on it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the dogs are barking upstairs anyways, and I'm pretty much wrapped up here, so I'm gonna ask you the season 4 question, the last one actually. We'll have to find a new question when we start back up. I should also say, before I get into that, just to tell my audience, however many of them there are, that it's been kind of a slow season. I think this is the new record for least episodes in a season. It was 19 last one, and this is 17 or maybe 16 even. But hey, I got married. I did a live 100th episode. I went and broke my arm right after that. Then I went to LA on my honeymoon, came back with COVID for the 3rd time. And I'm raising 2 teenagers. So, trying my best here. And I'm proud of all that stuff. And all that is honestly since July too. So I'm still so thankful for all the people who did come last season, or what's about to be last season. And thank you to you for coming, man.
Thanks
and I hope to see you guys all for season 5. Probably will start up sometime around beginning of December is usually how I do it. So tune in and keep watching the older episodes in the meantime if you haven't seen them. So the season 4 question, getting back to that though, is what's the shittiest job you've ever had and why?
Shittiest job. I think I'm not gonna say it would probably be Shoppers Drug Mart. I worked at McDonald's and that was like actually fun because we would fuck
if you're
around.
with the right team of people, shitty jobs can be good.
And look, I had really good coworkers at Shoppers that made the job fun. Like we would fuck around a lot. But
what sucked about it then?
Well, I worked at the post office, and you're like, I'm a Shoppers employee working so I don't work for Canada Post. I just take the mail and I put it in a bin, and then someone from Canada Post comes, or I sell them stamps or whatever, right?
Yeah. Oh, I go to the post office a lot in Shoppers because I mail out nerd stuff all the time.
Yeah, and there's always at least like 5 or 6 people a day that they take out their Canada Post anger out on you, and then I have to not, like, I've gotten in trouble for talking shit back to a customer because it's just like
You don't seem like a guy who'll take a lot of shit, to be honest.
it's hard at the time. Probably a lot more. I was a lot more, lenient, and I hadn't really, like, I guess I was still young,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, thinking back on that, having to like wake up early and walk to work and stuff, I was just like, no. It's
Waking
terrible.
up early, I can relate. I'm not a fan of that. But.
And then you're getting yelled at immediately, and you're wearing this hot ass uniform.
Which location were you? I'm curious. now.
Beacon Hill.
Dude, I swear, I was just going to say, because my folks live in Beacon Hill.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I've seen you when you were working at the post office.
Yeah, Beacon Hill.
How long ago?
God, it's hard to time it. Probably
And I worked at that shop first, too.
3. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but in like 2006 or something like that. It was when I worked there in the photo lab when they still had a photo
Oh
lab.
yeah. Okay.
And did you work there when fucking Binu was the boss?
That's the guy.
Guy, he's a piece of shit.
Binu, yeah.
And I'll say that on the record. I don't know his last name anyways, but
No, he's
the worst boss I've ever had.
He's
Fuck
a
that
bum.
guy.
Yeah. No, we had. It's funny. We had a fantasy football league, and I ended up winning, and it took him like 2 years to pay me.
Dude, he's such a weasel.
yeah.
On the last day that I was working, the motherfucker knew he was going to fire me, and I was photo lab, and there was nobody he could have got to replace me. So he knew the whole day he was going to fire me, and he just let me work my shift anyways. And then at the end of my shift, he was like, by the way, we're letting you go. And he didn't give me 2 weeks, so I came after him saying, like, where's my severance pay and shit like that.
Yeah.
And he just paid it to me in cash so I would leave. I'm like, I don't even think that's legit. I'm pretty
That's
sure there
kind of
needs
a
to be
sick
paperwork
move, yeah.
here. Yeah, it was baller, like, in a way, but he's just no nice bone in his body from what I remember.
No, when I
Manipulative bastard.
when I was leaving, he got in trouble for something. I don't know what it was, but
Nice.
he like stopped working there.
He's not there anymore?
I'm pretty sure he's not. Maybe he's at a different one now, but he got
man.
in some trouble. Yeah,
What
he
a
was
bastard. I hated that guy so much.
I hated him too, and he had.
What are the chances we worked at the same place for the same guy?
And do you ever go in his office and he has like, it's just a printed out picture of Donald Trump? Like, I don't know if
No, I don't think he had that, but that doesn't surprise me.
It's just it was like like almost like worn down paper, like printer paper, just a colored printer paper picture of Donald Trump, and I could tell from his attitude that he was trying to be like him.
Yeah. He read his self-help books or whatever.
Yeah, but I don't know. He's
I wonder if I'm going to have to blank out his name. What do you think? First name only? Because we said where specifically he worked.
it's just for
Anyway, I almost want to leave it in because of how much I fucking couldn't stand that guy. And I know how many other people he's treated like shit. That's the other thing. It's not like he just had a grudge against me. He treated everyone like shit. He was just like the public labor board should have investigated that guy. He was cutting corners wherever he could, just being like a authoritarian to everyone, making you feel like shit if you made the minor error that you should be learning from. It's like, yeah. Anyways, that's crazy though, that the last time I asked this question, it's like the same boss.
Well, and I have to admit, I'm still really pissed at Cesar there for losing my package back in 13. So
No, listen, I'll be honest. Maybe once or twice it was my fault, but most of the time it's their fault.
Delivery guy. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming, man. This was a blast.
for having me, man.
Reminiscing about a shitty boss at the end was just the icing on the cake. So high five at the end, man.
Yes, sir.
You got anything you do want to plug or no?
Just Lebanese Weight Watchers on Spotify. We're only on Spotify. We have most of them are audio, but we do like video now, where it's just like a screen share on a computer, basically.
Okay. Well, you guys do the live show too sometimes, right?
Yeah. So the last one we did was September, I think, at Yuck Yucks. We're gonna have. So that was number 4. We're gonna have 4.5 at Poor Boy.
Nice.
The first time ever being announced. I don't know when it's going to be or whatever.
Next few months, probably.
Yeah, and then we have that, and that's
Well, and
it.
come see Cesar at Yuck Yucks.
That's it. Yeah,
I'll see him one way or the other.
If you come to a new talent night, chances are I might go up because I'm greedy and I take any spot I can get. So
There you go.
that's
Right
it.
on. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
See you next season.